In this video we're going to look at using Pythagoras' theorem to solve a problem in 3 dimensions, and this particular question involves a pyramid and writing your answer in surds. The question says that the architect first plans to make a scale model of a pyramid. The scale model will have base sides of length 14 and vertical height of 8, and the architect has drawn the following diagram of the model. The model is here. They've marked the sloping edge. This height here is the vertical height, that's 8, and the length of the base is 14 centimeters, and you can be assumed that the length of the base is actually a square. Now it says calculate the length of each sloping edge of the model. That is this length here coming down here. So let me just highlight that in red, just so we're clear about what we're trying to calculate. So that's the distance we want. And it says give the answer in the form a root b, where a is an integer and b is a prime number. So that means we want the answer as a surd. So this is a Pythagoras question, and what you need to do is look for or create the right angle triangles that you need. Now I've highlighted the sloping edge, and if I continue on in red here, I can actually create a right angle triangle where this will be right angles. It has the vertical height, has a half of the diagonal of the square plus the sloping edge. To redraw that, it's going to look something like this, where the only measurement I know is this one, which is 8 centimeters. I'm trying to find this one, and clearly I can't solve it until I know this length here. So looking back at the triangle, looking back at the pyramid, I need to find this distance here. So I'm marking green. Now hopefully you can see that you can actually create another right angle triangle, and that's pretty common for Pythagoras in 3D. Generally you would use Pythagoras twice. So I've done this one in green. So if I reproduce my triangle down here, and I'm just going to show that this length that I'll do in blue on my red triangle is this length here on my green triangle. It's this diagonal length of the actual square. Now, what are these measurements here? I should mark on the right angle as well, so let's just put that in. Now this distance on my green triangle is half of the length of the square of the base, so that's going to be 7 centimeters. And clearly that this length is also half of my length of my square, so that is also 7 centimeters. Now let's call the hypotenuse here x, and let's work out that distance, because if I can work out this distance here, I can put it into this triangle and solve this triangle for that distance there. So what is x equal to? Well, we know that with Pythagoras x squared will be equal to 7 squared plus 7 squared. So x will be equal to the square root of 49 plus 49. X will be equal to the root of 98. Now I'm not going to equate that. I'm not going to work it out on the calculator. I'm going to leave it in that form. It'll become clear. So we know that x also appears in my red triangle. So now I need to work out the hypotenuse on that one. I'm going to call it s, because it's the sloping edge. And again, I know that s squared will be equal to, in this case, 8 squared plus x squared. So s squared is equal to 64 plus the root of 98, that's my value for x squared. And you'll see why I've left it as a root, because s squared will be equal to 64 plus 98. The root of 98, when you square it, takes you back to 98 again. And what we've got here then, so s squared will be equal to, and that will be 162. S therefore will be equal to the root of 162. Give myself a bit more space. Now if you put that into a calculator, it will take you straight to, hopefully, the surd value, but I'm going to show where it comes from. S will be equal to the root of 81 times 2. That is equal to the root of 81 multiplied by the root of 2, root of 81 is equal to 9. So it's 9 root 2. As I say, most calculators will take you straight from this to that form. This is in the form that we want, a root b, where a is an integer, it's a whole number, and b is prime, b is 2, and that is the question finished.